The words that make you look foolish, without you even realizing it. Have you ever said something and instantly wished you could take it back? Maybe it was an overconfident statement, an unnecessary complaint, or a promise you had no way of keeping. Words have power. They shape how others see you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. The problem? Most people don't think before they speak. They don't realize that a few careless words can make them seem insecure, unreliable, or even unintelligent. But the smartest people, the ones who truly earn respect, speak with purpose. They understand what not to say. Stoic philosophy, one of the most time-tested schools of thought, teaches that true intelligence isn't about talking more, it's about speaking wisely. Today, we're breaking down 6 things that an intelligent person never says. If you want to be taken seriously, if you want your words to carry weight, then keep watching, because avoiding these habits might just change the way people perceive you, forever. 1. True intelligence doesn't need a spotlight. Have you ever met someone who couldn't stop talking about how much they know? They list every book they've read, every achievement they've earned, every lesson they've learned. At first, it might seem impressive, but over time, it starts to feel less like a conversation and more like a performance. You begin to wonder, is this about sharing knowledge or proving something? True intelligence doesn't need to be advertised. Stoic philosophy teaches that wisdom speaks for itself, not through words, but through actions. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nature does not boast about what it creates, and neither should we." The most knowledgeable people don't seek admiration, they focus on using their knowledge effectively, letting their contributions make the statement for them. I once knew a guy, let's call him John. John was a tech expert, brilliant at what he did. In meetings, he always had something to say, always eager to showcase his expertise. He'd dive into complex theories, recount his biggest projects, and make sure everyone knew just how experienced he was. At first, people listened, but gradually, they started tuning him out. What was meant to impress ended up alienating. One day, a colleague pulled him aside and said, "John, you're smart, we all know that, but when you constantly talk about what you know, it makes people feel like you're not really listening." That moment changed him. He realized his need to prove himself was doing the opposite. It wasn't making people respect him more, it was pushing them away. So, how do you avoid this trap? First, ask yourself why you're sharing information. If it's to genuinely contribute to a discussion or help someone, great, but if it's to seek validation, take a step back. Second, practice humility. Being humble doesn't mean hiding your knowledge, it means allowing people to recognize your value through experience, not self-promotion. And most importantly, learn to listen. Listening isn't a sign of ignorance, it's a mark of confidence. It shows that you don't need to dominate a conversation to feel secure in what you know. The most respected people aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who make others feel heard. John eventually changed the way he interacted with people. He spoke less about himself, asked more about others, and focused on adding value rather than proving his worth. Over time, people sought him out, not because he was the loudest voice in the room, but because they trusted and respected him. At the end of the day, wisdom isn't about proving you're smart. It's about knowing when to speak, when to listen, and when to let your actions do the talking. 2. The power of listening. Why dismissing others' opinions makes you weaker. Have you ever shared an idea, only to have it shut down before you even finished speaking? It stings. It makes you feel unheard, unvalued, like your thoughts don't matter. Worse, you might start doubting yourself, wondering if your ideas were ever worth sharing in the first place. Now, flip the perspective. Have you ever been the one to dismiss someone else's opinion? Maybe you thought you were saving time by cutting straight to the point. Maybe you believed your idea was simply better. It's easy to do without realizing the damage it causes. I learned this the hard way. Early in my career, I prided myself on quick decision-making. In one meeting, a colleague suggested a new approach to improve workflow. Without thinking, I immediately shot it down. "That won't work," I said. I moved on, believing I had kept the discussion efficient. But the room fell silent. People exchanged glances. The energy shifted. The rest of the meeting dragged on with little enthusiasm. Later, a trusted coworker pulled me aside and said, "You know, that idea wasn't so bad. You should have at least heard them out. That hit me. I wasn't just rejecting an idea, I was shutting down creativity, discouraging my team, and unknowingly making myself less approachable. Stoicism teaches that true wisdom isn't about proving you're right. It's about understanding that knowledge is never complete, that every person has a unique perspective worth considering. Marcus Aurelius put it simply: you cannot learn what you think you already know. When you dismiss an idea too quickly, you miss the chance to see the problem from another angle. And sometimes, those different angles lead to solutions you'd never have considered on your own. So, how do you shift your mindset? Start with one small change. Instead of immediately countering an idea, pause and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Even if the idea isn't perfect, it may contain a valuable insight. And if it doesn't, at the very least, you've shown the other person that their voice matters. Another key lesson from Stoicism is humility. The belief that you always know best is not a sign of intelligence, it's a sign of arrogance. True wisdom lies in the ability to listen, to remain open, to recognize that no single person has all the answers. After that wake-up call, I changed my approach. I started asking more questions, inviting different viewpoints, and resisting the urge to judge too quickly. The result? My team became more engaged, more willing to contribute, our discussions became richer, and our solutions became better. In the end, refusing to dismiss others' opinions isn't just about being polite. It's about being wise. It's about creating an environment where innovation thrives, where people feel valued, and where real growth happens for everyone, including yourself. 3. The hidden cost of complaining without purpose. We all know someone like Peter. He's been in his profession for years, balancing deadlines, family obligations, and the everyday chaos that life throws his way. But instead of tackling his challenges head-on, Peter has developed a habit, one that slowly drains the energy of everyone around him. He complains, constantly. At first, his coworkers sympathized, they even offered solutions. But over time, his negativity became exhausting. Every conversation turned into a venting session, about lazy coworkers, about broken office equipment, about how nothing ever goes his way. One day, during lunch, a colleague finally asked him, "Peter, I get it. These things are frustrating, but what are you actually doing to change them?" That question hit him harder than he expected. Because the truth was, he wasn't doing anything. He was stuck in a cycle of complaints that solved nothing and only made him feel worse. Stoic philosophy warns us about this exact trap. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Complaining about things beyond our control doesn't change them. It only reinforces a sense of helplessness. Worse, it creates a toxic atmosphere, pushing others away and draining our own mental energy. But does that mean we should stay silent about problems? Not at all. The key difference between pointless complaining and constructive discussion is intention. Complaining for the sake of venting does nothing. But if a complaint is paired with a desire to find a solution, it becomes a step toward progress. So, how do you break free from the habit of empty complaints? Start with a simple question. What can I do about this? If the answer is nothing, then let it go. Dwelling on it won't fix the issue, it will only rob you of your peace. But if there is something you can do, shift your focus toward action. Another powerful shift in mindset is reframing the situation. Instead of thinking, "Why does this always happen to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Every challenge carries a lesson. But if you're too busy complaining, you'll miss the opportunity to grow. Peter took his colleague's words to heart. Instead of grumbling about his manager, he started offering constructive solutions. Instead of whining about his long commute, he used the time to listen to audiobooks. Slowly, his mindset shifted, his energy changed, and so did the way people responded to him. Complaining may feel like an outlet, but it rarely leads to real change. If you want to take control of your life, focus on what you can influence. That's where true strength and true wisdom lies. 4. The weight of words. Why empty promises destroy trust. We've all done it. In the moment, saying, "I'll take care of that," or "I promise I'll be there," feels easy. It reassures the other person. It makes us look reliable. But what happens when we don't follow through? The disappointment might not be immediate. but trust erodes little by little. And before we know it, our words carry no weight. Greg learned this lesson the hard way. A seasoned professional juggling a demanding career and family life. He had the best intentions. He wanted to be dependable, for his team, for his friends, for his family, but his schedule was packed. And yet, he kept making promises he couldn't realistically keep. I'll review those reports by Monday. I'll be home for dinner. I'll call you back later. Each time, he fully meant it, but too often, deadlines slipped, family dinners were missed, and phone calls went unanswered. At first, people gave him the benefit of the doubt. He was busy, after all, but over time, frustration built. His team started second-guessing his commitments. His family stopped waiting for him at the dinner table. Then, one evening, he found a note on his desk from his teenage daughter. 4 simple words. "We just want you to mean it." That hit hard. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that integrity is not about saying the right things. It's about making sure your actions align with your words. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Let your words be plain and true." A promise, no matter how small, carries weight, and when broken repeatedly, even unintentionally, it chips away at the foundation of trust. So, how do we break the habit of making empty promises? It starts with honest self-assessment. Before committing, ask yourself, do I have the time, energy, and resources to follow through? If the answer is uncertain, it's better to set realistic expectations. Instead of saying, "I'll definitely have this done by tomorrow," try, "I'll aim for tomorrow. But if I need more time, I'll let you know." Another strategy is to underpromise and overdeliver. Instead of making commitments you might struggle to keep, set a manageable goal and then exceed it when possible. If Greg had told his team he needed 3 days to review reports but finished in 2, he would have built a reputation for reliability instead of disappointment. Finally, when a commitment can't be met, own it. A sincere apology, a brief explanation, and a clear alternative solution can go a long way in maintaining trust. Greg took this lesson to heart. He became more mindful of what he promised, learning to say no when necessary. Over time, his relationships improved, his words regained their meaning, and most importantly, he found peace in knowing that when he spoke, people could believe him. In the end, keeping a promise isn't just about following through, it's about proving that your words matter. 5. The strength in owning your mistakes. Nobody likes being wrong. It's uncomfortable. It makes us feel exposed. Admitting a mistake can feel like admitting failure. But here's the truth. Denying your mistakes doesn't make you look stronger. It makes you look insecure. True confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about having the courage to acknowledge when you've messed up and the wisdom to learn from it. I learned this the hard way. A few years ago, I was leading a major project at work. Everything seemed on track, until it wasn't. A key deadline was missed, and the blame game began. Deep down, I knew part of it was on me. I had overlooked a crucial detail. But instead of owning up to it, I did what many people do. I deflected. I pointed to external factors, circumstances beyond my control. It wasn't entirely false, but it wasn't the whole truth either. Then something happened that changed my perspective. In our next team meeting, I saw the frustration on my colleagues' faces. The energy in the room was tense. And suddenly, it hit me. Dodging responsibility wasn't solving the problem. It was damaging trust. So, I did something I hadn't planned to do. I took a deep breath and said, "I made a mistake. Here's what I should have done differently. And here's how I'm going to fix it moving forward." The reaction? Not judgment, not blame. Instead, I saw relief. Some team members even nodded in appreciation. The tension eased, and the conversation shifted from frustration to problem solving. I realized then that admitting a mistake doesn't weaken you, it earns you respect. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone is able to prove me wrong, it is a kindness, because what is more valuable than learning the truth?" Stoicism teaches that mistakes are not something to be feared. They are teachers. Every misstep holds a lesson, but only if you're willing to see it. So, how can you build the habit of owning your mistakes? First, practice self-awareness. When something goes wrong, resist the instinct to defend yourself. Instead, ask, what role did I play in this? Even if your mistake is small, acknowledging it is a step toward growth. Second, focus on solutions. not excuses. Owning up is only half the battle. What really matters is what you do next. Fix the issue. Improve your approach. Show that you're not just admitting fault, you're actively working to do better. Lastly, understand that accountability builds trust. People don't expect perfection, they expect honesty. When you take responsibility for your actions, you gain credibility. And when you consistently learn from your mistakes, you become wiser, stronger, and more respected. In the end, refusing to admit a mistake doesn't protect your reputation, it damages it. But taking ownership? That's a sign of true intelligence. 6. The power of keeping plans to yourself. Have you ever shared a big goal with someone, only to feel less motivated to actually achieve it? Maybe you told a friend you were going to start working out, write a book, or launch a business. At that moment, their reaction, whether it was excitement or encouragement, felt great. But somehow, after saying it out loud, your drive faded. Why does this happen? Psychologists call it the intention versus action trap. When you share your goals, your brain gets a sense of satisfaction, almost as if you've already accomplished something. The problem? That feeling can reduce your actual motivation to follow through. Stoic philosophy teaches us a similar lesson. True achievement happens in action, not in words. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not waste time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, don't talk about your goals, live them. When you broadcast your plans, you might gain approval, but you also invite unnecessary pressure, distractions, and even skepticism. Worst of all, you risk losing focus on the only thing that truly matters, doing the work. Let's talk about Jim. Jim had big ambitions. He wanted to run a marathon. Excited, he told everyone, his coworkers, his friends, even his barber. At first, the praise was motivating. "That's amazing, Jim. You're going to crush it." But days passed, and training felt harder than expected. The more people asked him about it, the more he felt trapped. Instead of being inspired, he felt pressure. Eventually, he lost the drive to train and quietly dropped the goal altogether. Contrast that with someone who keeps their goals private. They don't seek validation. They don't need an audience. They just show up, day after day, putting in the work. Then, when they achieve their goal, the results speak for themselves. So, should you never share your goals? Not necessarily, but be selective. If sharing holds you accountable and pushes you forward, tell someone who genuinely supports your progress. Otherwise, let your actions do the talking. Here's how you can apply this in your own life. 1. Move in silence. Set your goals, build your habits, and make progress before announcing anything. 2. Let results speak. Instead of telling people what you're going to do, show them what you've done. 3. Protect your energy. Avoid external pressure that could derail your focus. Jim eventually tried a different approach. The next time he set a big goal, he told no one. He trained quietly, showed up consistently, and when race day came, he finished strong. This time, he didn't need applause. He had earned something better, the pride of real accomplishment. In the end, talking about your plans won't bring success. Action will. Speak less. Be respected more. At the end of the day, intelligence isn't just about what you know, it's about how you communicate. The way you speak shapes your reputation, your relationships, and even your own mindset. Wise people don't boast. They don't dismiss others. They don't complain without purpose or make promises they can't keep. They take responsibility for their mistakes, and they let their actions speak louder than their words. So, here's the challenge. Over the next few days, pay attention to your words. Catch yourself before you brag, complain, or dismiss someone's idea. Notice when you're tempted to overshare or make an empty promise. The more mindful you become, the more powerful your speech will be. And if you found value in this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more insights on mastering your mindset. Now, go out there and make your words count.